Yeah, understand. And every year, like on the anniversary, he pulls that up again on his face. Yeah, I think he said he felt on the hair for summer.
This is first time I've seen this spring.
Those very. So just last thing with it. It's last year. We're doing more of a disservice for you. I'll start in here. But it's just a compilation. So wild. It's just,
We will call to order this meeting of the Williston Basin School District Number 7 School Board Regular Meeting. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Paula, you can call the roll.
Wheeler. Here. Marsh. Here. Luder. Here. Brenner.
Here.
Kilgore.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Swint.
Here, we have a quorum and we will proceed. Our mission is to inspire and prepare students for the next level of education, work, and life. Our vision is to foster student growth and build trusting partnerships between students, staff, family, and community. And education at WDSD number 7 will support our students' intellectual, social, and emotional growth. We will provide students with an innovative curriculum supported by various co-curricular activities. The outcome of our efforts will empower students to make a difference in their community and world. We believe in providing a safe environment where healthy relationships and student growth are priorities. Moving on to item number 2, adopt the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move to adopt.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Paula, could you call the roll?
Marsh.
Aye.
Luder. Aye. Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 3, showcasing schools. We will have the Williston Middle School Central Campus.
Come on, guys. Right. Yep, password. Sorry, we thought we worked this out. No, it's to access to a new computer.
Mr. Clausen, could you close the blinds right behind them? It's kind of.
You don't need to look at my face. It's okay.
Thank you.
Son's like, what?
I'm sorry. Could be a lot of pointing. So I have a 10-minute time frame. Okay, so I'll just kind of get started. A lot of this is review, just an update from last year. So that's why there's a lot of slides that I knew you could look ahead. So that's why there's so many slides. Okay. Next. Okay, so just an update for this year. Our population we have is 5th through 8th grade students. Our population is 1,603. As you can see on the demographics here, some have increased in some areas while others have not decreased. So we've just grown in population and demographic, which is pretty awesome.
So this slide kind of gives you an idea by grade level, what we're looking at for IEP, 504, stream reduced lunch, McKinney-Vento, and ML, sorry. And I do have the numbers if anybody wants them, but I think the biggest takeaway is I did this slide last year as well. And what we noticed last year is one of our most difficult groups was our sixth graders. They were a little bit lower academically, a lot more behaviors. There are current seventh graders this year, and they were high, actually off the charts last year on all these areas, and that is not how it looks this year. That kind of shows you how in and out our population is. We're a very transient population. We might lose 5 kids this week, we might gain 10, vice versa. So I thought that data was really interesting to look at.
Okay, so this year we are in CSI, and our CSI ties to our Cognia goal and our overall goal for school improvement at the campus. And so we've been through a goal of chronic absenteeism, increasing student achievement, but this year we really decided to focus on student engagement. So when you increase student engagement, you hopefully increase or you decrease your chronic absenteeism, and your student achievement goes up. So this is where we got the idea to go for student achievement is based on our North Dakota Insights data. So you can see like the gray area is room for improvement. One of our areas that we need to increase growth the most is student achievement. Next. So from that, you can see that our focus goal is increasing student achievement by 10%, and then 3 main areas through an academic framework and rigor, chronic absenteeism, focusing on that, and then increasing climate and culture at the school. And the diagram just kind of shows how we'll do that. So one thing that we've been doing for the last 3 years, really heavy last year and this year, is attacking our absenteeism. And you can see from this spreadsheet, all the boxes that I put in red are how we've decreased chronic absenteeism. We've done that through BAR, and it also ties to our Cognia and school improvement goal, but we've made some really huge gains, so it's pretty awesome. The next slide. And then we also track behavior data very close at the middle school, 5 through 8. Each of these slides kind of shows what we track on a daily basis, weekly basis, and monthly basis. Our student referrals, everything down to our conversations with students. So we have all of that data. We kind of pulled it into just an overall view. You'll see from last year to this year, which I don't have that up here, it looks like we've increased in a lot of behavior referrals, but our process has just gotten really good. And we're tracking, teachers are tracking a little bit more. Our deans do a really good job at tracking. So we're just we're gathering all the data based on every single behavior referral we get, every time we talk to students, every phone call we get from parents. So that's pretty much all this data, and it goes by grade level. So here's 7th and then 8th. And then you can go to the next slide. And then academic data, just to review, you always want to see that alligator mouth open. So you can go to the next slide. I always put that on there because sometimes people don't look at data, so it helps. But when you look at the chart up above, what you want to see is the red is our lower levels and our green is our higher. So you want to see that mouth open where we're decreasing the tier 3 and increasing the tier 1. So you can see in fall at a 5th grade level, we came in at a level 2 with, is that reading? And then math on the other side, or math on the left and reading on the right. We came in at level 2, and by winter, on average, we're at level 3. For reading, we came in level 3 and maintained level 3, but you can see the growth in our achievement there. You can go to the next slide. And then same here for 6th grade. With our math, we started at a level 2 in the fall, and then we are at a level 3 on average for our 6th graders in math. And then reading, we came in at a level 3 and maintained level 3, which is good. And then again, you can see the trend lines here where our tier 3 red is trending down. That's good. And our tier 1 is trending up. So we're making gains. You can go to the next slide. And then this is where it gets really exciting because our 7th grade, like Sarah said, when you do these slides year by year and you look at this data, this is the first time in a long time that I've seen students come in at a level 3. So that tells us a lot about what we're doing. and the sustainability that we're doing with our programs. So we came in at a level 3 on math on average, and then we're maintaining that as well for the winter, and then reading the same, and we're still making growth. Go to the next slide. And then same with 8th grade. So you can see our trend lines are both trending up and down for our tier 3. Bar is in our year 3 at Central Campus. We can go to the next slide. So all systems are pretty much in place. We're using the same process and systems this year, and they are going extremely well. Go to the next one. This is just something that we had last year, but all growth that we're seeing, social emotional growth, increasing our student engagement. They're feeling more connected to the staff and the adults in the building. We're still implementing the positive postcards. We made it embedded into our practices where postcards are going home on a weekly basis per team. Go to the next slide. Some things that we've done throughout the last year is the bar coach and I went to the legislative retreat this summer and sat down at round tables and had conversations with our legislators about bar. It was awesome. We invited them in, and then we had our legislators here throughout the whole district. So that's what that picture is. We presented at the national conference, and yeah, you can go to the next slide. And then just speaking about the processes and systems that we have in place, here are the things that we've really established and we're super proud of. Our bar hubs everything. It has all of our spreadsheets, all of our agendas teachers use, plus it houses all of our data. So teachers, anybody can see it within our school. If you look at the top, that's our big block team. That's something that's really evolved this year. In the past, we've had big block teams where it's been 1 and we talk about all the students. Now we have 4 functioning teams happening every single week, which means that we talk about more students, and they're going extremely well. At the top right is our bar process that we've established. We started it last year using this flow chart, and it's now embedded. So we have a really good process in place as far as when to refer a student, when to refer them to big block, and when a sped referral is appropriate. Go to the next slide. And then also based on our goal for student engagement, we have to focus on the climate and culture of our staff and our well-being of our staff as well. So this next section kind of talks about the climate and culture. We've been doing Vital Network 4 years now. And last year to this year is the only thing I'm going to compare just because last year was my first year there. But from 24 to 25, I'm comparing the data a little bit. We think personally we've made huge growth. Our staff feels it too. Participation in surveys is really hard from very large staff. And so we've implemented some different processes to make sure like staff, we're holding them accountable and participating in this because their voice is really important. So you can see even from last year to this year, we had 137 to 146. And then our overall process awareness was 5.1 to 5.24. After we take these surveys, each time we have our leadership team come together and we look at each area and go through and look at our current goals and plan in place and then revise it. And then our leadership team kind of spreads everything out to the rest of the campus, to our teachers. So we've made some good growth and improvement with our climate and culture. Go to the next slide. One thing that came from Vital Network last year is staff meetings, all staff meetings. 170 staff in an auditorium. You can't really get the engagement of the adults in the room, especially after a long day of teaching. So one suggestion was making our meetings a time for us to build relationships with one another. So we handed it over to the teachers. We started off at the beginning of the year just doing like a climate culture team building activity, and the staff didn't like that, which was fine. And so we said, here you go, you guys plan it. So our teams have taken on the responsibilities of doing that, and it's been really fun. They have different themes like chalk and talk. They had chocolate, and they give an opportunity for staff to get to know each other. We had a Grinching. Tomorrow is ASB teachers are showcasing what they do in their classroom, and it's speed dating, so getting to know your colleagues. So this has been really fun. This has been a good activity and use of staff time. Go to the next slide. And then last year we did a survey where we'd send out if we had a new initiative or program, or we'd have conversations or have a staff meeting. I'd always provide feedback. to ask more questions or give some input. And it worked well, but it's just another link that gets lost in your email. So we decided to add this. This is called the Hidden Gem. It is hidden in our daily updates that go out from each camp or building principal. And the Hidden Gem, you have to look through the agenda and find the gem, which means you have to read through the agenda or see what's on the agenda for the day. And once you find it, it's just an update and a check-in with the teachers. So how are you feeling today? You can see the picture. We always get some good feedback from our teachers, and sometimes they need us in a way that we didn't know they needed us. So we can check in with them. So our feedback from this is on a daily basis, which is really cool. You can go to the next slide. Just more. And if you had time to read through it, go to the next one. All right, so program updates. A lot is the same from last year to this year. We're just building and reevaluating everything. One thing that was added that's really good this year is our teacher assistants and student ambassador program. Our teacher assistants give them leadership skills. They pair them with a teacher. They go in for, instead of an elective, they go with a teacher. They can help in the classroom, help with other students. They can do errands for the teacher. It's just a really good program for our students to have that opportunity. Student ambassadors show in a little bit different way. They are actually, we have a new student onboarding process in our school, just because we get new students all the time. Our ambassadors are the face of our school. So they answer all the questions. Whenever we get a new student enrolled, we pair them with an ambassador on that team. They shadow the student for a whole day. The student gives them on a tour. They go through the handbook. They get them logged into their Chromebook. They introduce them to everybody. They eat lunch together. And then at the end, we have a form that they fill out, a sheet that tells us all about that student's, their likes, their interests. Then we schedule them in classes based on what they saw and what they want. And the ambassadors are great about that. They have made that transition for students amazing. So that's what they do. And now every Friday, what we're trying to do as a goal is take our ambassadors to an elementary school. So they go to an elementary school every Friday and they read, they help on the playground, they do an activity. We're trying to get them out more in the community. So those are two good programs that we'll keep for next year. Go to the next slide. And then we implemented attendance celebrations. We wanted to start this at the beginning of the year and then it just kind of got chaotic. But since we are having some great improvements with attendance, we want to celebrate those students. You'll see our ambassadors. They're the ones that serve the students during lunches. We've done popcorn. We've had an ice cream party. And next, what's the next one? Ooh. Donuts? No.
What time was it?
It's coming up. I don't remember what it is, but the good thing about having a student ambassadors is they like to plan all of that for us, which is pretty awesome. All right, I'll let Susan talk about ASB electives.
We are continually working on growing our elective pathways for our students. We now have a lot of great classes for the students to take, and we're working on getting a progression built for the students. So we're hoping that in 6th grade, they're going to dabble in a variety of different pathways. And then as they go into 7th and 8th grade, they are going to choose a pathway that they're interested in and be able to take some more advanced courses in those pathways. We're looking at getting student voice and choice and giving them an opportunity to try new things that they might not have experienced before. We've got STEM pathways right now, a couple different STEM classes. We've got robotics, and our robotics team actually goes out and competes. And then we also have sewing, which is really cool. They have the opportunity to do hand sewing, machine sewing, and then independent study where they can create their own project. And then we have, next please. We have our visual and media arts pathways, lots of art classes, journalism, photography, for kids that are interested in that kind of thing. And then we have our global perspective pathways, our Spanish classes, humanities, and geography. And then we also, these are not at the ASB Center, but we also have really great music pathways and PE pathways for the students. So again, our goal is to get the kids to dabble in things in 6th grade, find what they love, and be able to continue on that pathway. And eventually, as we get further along this road, connecting with the high school so that they can kind of continue on as they get up to the high school as well. Oh, yep, and then this is just a slide on our robotics class. Again, that's an elective class we take during the day, but they actually made it to state both 7th and 8th grade this year, which is the first time for us. So that was pretty awesome. pretty exciting.
All right, one thing that we're adding next year is we are getting a second weight at Central Campus. So number one, requested elective is our weight training program or weights. And in our weight room right now, we can only have 17 students. So it's not really fair to tell out of 1,600 students or 15 or 14 that they won't be able to take weights probably during their time. So we decided to kind of throw the idea out there. I told Dr. Germanson about it. And then Mr. Bosca and I got together with Mr. Conley and I had a potential space, showed him a space. He really liked the idea and now it's happening. It's coming into play. So it's really awesome that we have it funded and we are actually starting right now on working on the space. So there's a lot of exciting things happening with I know it sounds like a weight room, but it's actually building a program within the middle school level. We're preparing our students and we're hoping that implementing this at the middle school level and really investing in these students will then grow our sports programs at the high school level. You go to the next slide. So we have a shop at the Bakken and we use it for an art space. We didn't really know the potential until we cleaned it out last year and it's a really, truly amazing space. And then it is really cool in there and it has lots of space. So it didn't work for our CT shop class. So I said, well, let's just look at it as a weight room. So when we went in there, there was a lot of things like you can see on the left, there was a lot of, they're like locker spaces with tabletops, a lot of built-in things. Our awesome maintenance crew came in a week. We displaced the teacher for a week. We had a new classroom for her and they came in and cleared everything out and then put different tables in per her requests and we'll get her through the end of the year, but we are ready. We ordered some mats to go on the floor. We're ready to get the mats in. As soon as those are in, we'll get those installed and the weights, all the equipment has been ordered, I believe. And so we're going to transform this whole space into a nice weight room, which we're really excited about. So this will be a weights 2, just so we have intro to weights and then they progress into weights 2 and then an athletic training class. Okay, so this is something new for next year. We're moving into this, like this visual here. So next year, because 5th grade is leaving, we have to reorganize the campus. This is our one and only opportunity because we're not moving again, right? So we really had to think about this. This was way harder decision than we thought, but we have so many students coming in all the time that we wanted to make sure we had a really good plan in place where it wouldn't disrupt the numbers of teams in the future and we could keep the teams where they're at. And so what we came up with is dividing the 2 spaces, Coyote Center and Bakken Ridge, into 2 houses, still Central Campus, still one school, but 2 houses. And what that means, instead of like 6, 7 on one side and 8th grade on the other side, we do 6, 7, and 8 and 6, 7, and 8. And there's a lot of advantages to that after we finally made that plan. So going back to our goal of student engagement, we really need to build a really strong sense of belonging for our students. It's really hard even next year, sitting at 1,300 students in one campus. If you walk through our hallways, we were doing it today, and I'm like, these hallways were not built for all these students. They're so narrow. So, and we can't get rid of kids, right? So we have to decrease the size and we have the space. So we feel like once they're in a smaller space with less kids, we'll be able to build more of a sense of belonging for the students, more meaningful relationships, more support for the students. So this is why we're going into that direction. So each house, so think of them like houses for now, each house will hold 2 6th grade teams, 2 7th grade teams, and 2 8th grade teams. Right now we're at 100 per team. It probably will be about 115 per team, looking at the numbers. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but still way less numbers. Each house has still its own office, admin dean office. Each house has their own counselor office. SPED is still the same. Each house has their own SPED department. And then common areas and lunchrooms are all going to be the same, or 2 separate lunchrooms, common areas. House-based procedures, so attendance, everything stays the same that we put into place. Our campus still is functioning the same. Our behaviors are not going to, like, our processes are not going to change. Bars not going to change. PLCs aren't going to change. It's just the location and the grades in each house. Drop off pickup will function out of 2 houses, kind of like we have now. We are creating something called a 3-year rolling plan because the high school has a 4-year rolling plan. When we get these kids this year, we have an advantage because we have most of the 5th grade. We are going to ask them and sit down with them. What do you want to take while you're here at middle school? And then based on that, we'll be able to give them kind of a pathway. Because some of these classes are very specific of what they can take and what kind of prerequisite they need with the electives. So we're going to develop that 3-year rolling plan to make sure they have an exploration, everything in middle school. So they're really ready for high school. You can go to next. And then through this house system, students and staff alike are really competitive all the time. So when you're in a house and you build that sense of belonging and community, we're going to implement some competitions, friendly competitions. So some things that we're going to keep points on moving into next year to kind of have the houses compete against each other is attendance, tracking our attendance and improvement, reducing tardies. That's a huge one at our school right now. Behavior progress. So as far as like logs or interventions that are happening, academic growth, and this will be our summative, interim, and our grades. And then service contribution, one thing that we really want to add is community service to our campus and making it a priority for all of our students at this level. So community or service contribution and spirit and character traits. So once you belong to a house, you got to get into it. So you can earn points for all of that. It's not final. That's just our ideas so far. We can go to the next slide. Is that it? I don't think so. Okay, so,
Chris nervous.
yeah. But you said it was a great migration, so it's your
Yeah.
fault. Actually, I mean, we were gonna have to move a lot anyways, because moving ASB out and putting them into the building then displaces 17 more people. So there was a lot of movement happening. With 6, 7, and 8 in one house, those students come in as 6th graders and they stay till they're 8th. They don't ever switch houses. So they get that sense of belonging, but there's less transitions. Because think about going from elementary to then one side of the campus being in 6th grade, and then you're transitioning again to the other side and going to 7th and 8th. That's a ton of transitions for these kids. Whereas if we put them in one building, they stay in one building. So yes, there's a lot of movement. This is our reorganization plan. There he is, he's smiling, so that's good. Yeah, so all of the highlighted are the teachers that are moving. So we are trying to put a really good plan in place. I got the forum results. I asked all teachers to tell me what are they taking and what do we need to move. I got 92 responses as of before this meeting. So I think we've got a good plan in place, hopefully. Go to the next slide. And then the implementation phases of the house system. We actually went to Watford City last Friday. They use the house system at their middle school. So it was really nice to talk to some leaders in that position and get some really good ideas. One thing they said is just start really slow. So I think we're on the right track as far as 2 houses or the houses. The next step is coming up with like the neighborhoods in each building. And then even what we're tracking for points and house competitions that we're having, that will come. And we're not gonna start off we're not gonna do a lot of things at first. We're gonna work slowly into it. Go to the next slide. And then just successes that we've seen this year, through all of our, things that have happened throughout the year as far as things you're not prepared for. It's really, we feel like it's been a year where we've had our feet underneath us. It's been a really stable year for us. So we have a lot to celebrate. We have an awesome team. And then the next slide is just struggles that we're still working on. And that's it.
Any questions?
I do.
Mr. Brenner?
Your teacher assistants and student ambassadors, are they all middle school students or do you use any high school students?
They're middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, but we do have a partnership with high school. We have a couple of students that come down and mentor some of our kids. And then going into next year, I think we're starting a program with the high school to have more of that. But yeah, we do lean on the high school, but
I loved your focus on relationships and absenteeism and your proactive approach to just planning for the future.
Anybody else? Well, now the fun, I guess it goes to me.
you're done.
First off, the Great Migration, we as a board recognize how difficult it's going to be for our educators, so, and the administrators of the building. So we do appreciate all the hard work that's been going in on the back end. All the meetings with Dr. Germanson and your teams locally, very appreciative. It's not gonna be an easy year next year. It's gonna be a lot of transition, so we understand that and recognize that. And we just hope that everybody's communicating to their admin how they feel. Let them get you the support you need. That way we can make this as easy of a transition as possible, and utilize the services of our maintenance department as much as possible. But I'm very, very happy with how Central Campus is, the change, the turnaround that has occurred there. It's the behaviors are so much more improved. The families that I hear from are so much happier. I'm really appreciative of all that you guys do, and I want to thank you for all the hard work and looking into next year. I know it's going to be a fun one, but I know the right people are in the right places to make it happen. So thank you very much. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Moving on to communicating with the public. Public participation at board meetings is governed by district policy BCBA. Meetings of the board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the schools and therefore are not public meetings, but meetings held in public. It is the policy of this board to afford that opportunity in accordance with the following procedures in North Dakota Century Code 44-04-20.1. Only items on the published board agenda or on the previous meeting's published agenda will be discussed at any meeting of the board unless the superintendent or a board member requests an addition to the agenda of a regular meeting and the board members present approve in accordance with board policy. No individual may speak more than once. Please state your name for the record, state the agenda item you are speaking to. Comments will be limited to no more than 3 minutes per individual. Public comment will be limited to no more than 30 minutes in total. The board has adopted policies governing patron complaints. The public is required to seek redress through these policies. The public will be prevented from commenting on a topic if it is governed by a district complaint policy and the complaint does not follow the procedure contained in policy and/or the policy prohibits the public from bringing the complaint before the board. Concerns a topic that is prohibited by law from disclosure to the public, such as a student's educational record. Undue interruption or other interference with the orderly conduct of board business cannot be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. The presiding officer may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, she or he persists in improper conduct or remarks. Furthermore, any individual who is persistently disruptive of a school board meeting may be removed from that meeting by order of the presiding officer. Board members will not engage in dialogue during the public comment period. Questions may be answered by the presiding officer or an administrator at the following meeting or in writing at a later time. If you wish to provide any public comment this evening, please step forward to the podium, announce your name for the record, as well as the agenda item you are speaking on this evening. Is it difficult for you to read through at that meeting?
Yeah.
It is. It's every time. Is there any public comment this evening? Any public comment? There was comment at the previous board meeting. That response was held at the planning committee. The minutes are in the agenda and they're for record. If anybody has any additional questions relating to that, they can reach out to district administration to answer those questions. Moving on to item number 5, informational report to the board. This will be monthly financial report.
So, nothing really stands out for this month. We're a little bit over halfway through the year. One thing to just kind of point out our local tax receivables, because remember, this is from January, so so we've been these, in February, we received close to 10 million, I believe, from the taxes there, so they are coming in. And the other areas is, and like I mentioned before, with our grants from the federal programs, we've been diligently getting claims turned in each month, so we keep that cash reimbursement coming into the district. So in the end, that will significantly help us with our fund balances at the end of the year, because we won't be short all of that grant reimbursement. But we're getting fairly close with the Great Migration. So as far as staffing and what's needed and the different areas there. So that's coming along really good as far as getting a better idea on projections, not only for the next year, but then going forward, because we'll have kind of where we're at set in stone with position control and all that stuff. So it'll be somewhat easier to do projections. We'll still kind of have the state where we kind of throw a dart at the wall, and hopefully we get close with that. But things are progressing along. We're going to start working with budgets for next year, visiting with the departments to see, how things worked out this year, and go from there. So, any questions on that?
Board members, any questions?
I know you updated the planning committee on the audit, but where are we at?
So we were talking in our admin meeting this afternoon, and I can't remember the term that our auditors called it, but it's basically in the audit of the audit stage. So basically the auditors have got most of their stuff put together for the 2 years. So it's in review with another department within the auditors to just verify their stuff and their findings. So I'm hoping soon. So, I mean, that's a good sign that they've moved it over there. We're still just getting a few minor things closed up on the other end. So yes, hopefully soon.
Is there an expectation that they will, since you just said both years, they're working in conjunction getting both years ready right now, so we should be on time after that?
Correct. Yeah, and then as soon as they get that done, they'll do fiscal year 25, which hopefully will be smoother and faster.
Right.
But then, yes, we'll get, because once we get those 2 years done and then get the fiscal year 25 done, then we can actually put it out for other auditors to bid on for us, because the private firms really didn't want to touch us because we were 3 years behind. But once we get caught up, then we should be able, when we do an RFP, we should get a lot more response to it. So, but I mean, the state auditors have been great to work with. I mean, we've been corresponding, phone calls quite frequently over the last few months. So
Yeah, I think from my perspective, the only thing that's been difficult with the state, not so much their fault, it's just that they're the state auditors. They have many other things that they have to do. So they can at moments put us on the back burner when they have to pull a team away to go deal with something. So I know that's nothing that you can control or that we as a district can control. So I appreciate that you've been staying on top of that information for us. Board members, any other questions?
Do you know for bond compliance, if we have a deadline to get our audit done?
if we were gonna go out for more bonds or whatever, it doesn't look good. But as far as our current ones.
Yeah, just
no.
within current structures.
No, everything is fine there. The only thing that we're pushing up against is with the federal programs, the federal grants. They have to have an annual, it's basically a part of the audit.
Yep.
And so we've been asking for forgiveness and extensions on that part because, like I say, the last one that they've had was for fiscal year 22. So
My point in saying is if you are able to defer it, you could save money. It's that you could pass that charge window where they
oh, sure.
have season. If you can do it in the fall, a lot less expensive.
Quick question on, and I know what the federal reimbursements, previously from previous years, there were those ones that were behind. How are we doing on getting caught up on those reimbursements?
So we've closed out, I believe, the 23, 24 ones as far as like the title 1, 2, 3, and 4, I believe. There may be a little bit left on title 2, which is PD, but it's just because what we've got and then what's been planned, we're still can use some of that. But we have to stay up on those because even with those grants, because it's generally about an 18-month window from the start is when you have to use them and get reimbursement. So we are on a deadline, so we make sure that those get hit. And then Emily's been staying up on those, making sure that we've got, everything submitted that we need to, or make sure that we have it. And then Shelby in my office is actually doing all the claims and everything, so.
Board members, anything else? I just quickly want to say, I know with the process, once again, Great Migration, I know there's a ton that you've been working on. I'm really impressed on the back end of the school budgets. I'm not sure if they're perfect, and I'm sure you guys will be able to give feedback at the end of the year on how it worked or didn't work. But I'm extremely appreciative that they actually saw dollars this year that they had to work with, and we were able to figure that out. For me, it creates more equitability across the district, and we're getting to see that in many of the other conversations that are going on right now, planning for next year. I'm extremely appreciative of everything that the finance department is doing. I know it's not easy to be working through 2 audits, trying to get all that fixed and get everything else caught up and really put in sound financial guardrails for the district, but I'm appreciative of all that your team is doing.
And that was, and I haven't had much negative feedback, but that was the whole goal of everything, is the equality, because it seemed like, it was just hit and miss who got the money in the past. And so as long as you know what your student count is, pretty much what your budget's going to be.
I'm very impressed with what I've seen, definitely for this school year, and just seeing us move forward. And it's nice to see stability in the finance department as well as at the district office level. So thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Moving on to 5B, deferred maintenance priority list.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Brewer with Facilities and Maintenance. If you don't know me. So what we're going to look at today, it's a deferred maintenance list. It's a projected. Well, it's not just projected. It's what we've done in the past and what we're looking to do. So as you know, we've done the vestibules. We've got Hagen taken care of. We're in the process of getting Lewis and Clark. Thank you for everything you've done there, helping us get those projects going. But as Jason likes to ask me, what have you done for me lately? And so let's talk about what we want to do. So what I did, I sat down with Nick Lippert from JLG, and we took a report that CMTA made for us here a while back regarding a bunch of mechanical projects that we had to do. And we looped in, parking lots. I've got Theo Brothers working on some pricing for roofing for us and a priority list for roofing. So it's a living document. You see here, we assigned everything a priority rank. Some of it's already done, some of it we're currently working on, some of we're going to do. And as I said, it's a living document. So as we go on, we'll kind of zero in on what's the next project we want to work on, and we'll have some costs for that as well. so we can make better decisions based upon what Mike tells me I get to spend. We might have to defer some projects again and move on to a different project we can't afford. Or maybe we can take care of two projects because we have two smaller projects we can get taken care of. So that's what our goal with this is so we can have a really good roadmap going forward for years ahead on how we're going to spend that and what we really need as a district in order to make sure these projects happen in a timely manner, rather than saying, well, in 20 years, we'll be done with it. You know, we've got to say, well, what do we need if we want to get it done in 10 years or 7 years, whatever that is. So that's the idea behind this. As I said, we sat down and we pulled a bunch of numbers in that we currently have. I know Nick was working with JLG on getting some updated numbers for some of these projects. And some of it we'll probably get with CMTA and JE done and find out, can we change the scope or should we change the scope? You know, do we need to add something else? We might have to look at the projects we've done and how do we make sure we're equitable with the projects we have going forward as well. So as I said, it gives us a good roadmap, but obviously as we get closer, we'll get a little bit more granular on that as to what this spend's going to look like. And that's what I've got. Questions, concerns?
Board members, any questions?
Just a comment.
Mrs. Willett.
You guys always do a really good job presenting at the planning committee. I thank you. I know that Nick and them are not here, but I've already thanked them before, but I didn't get a chance to thank you personally, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll second that.
Yeah, and then a little bit of comment as well. I think planning is critical to fiscal responsibility. And without these types of documents, without investment in these types of documents, and even them being public facing, which it's hard to justify your fiscal or to even like reinforce your fiscal responsibility. It's so important that we use our planning to engage with our community, because that's what they need. They need to understand what we're facing, not to say what we haven't done, but to plan ahead and to address it in stride. And so I know firsthand that the community is ready to support the school district. These are the steps that we have to take internally to kind of meet them. And then I think, you know, sky's the limit there on what we can really accomplish as a community with our infrastructure. So really excited to see this start to take form. Looking forward to it to some capacity becoming public facing, and we can do our part as board members to, you know, work with the community and communicate with the community on the behalf of priorities of the district and get this stuff moving forward. So thank you.
It's a huge part of it. I want the community to understand that we will be good stewards of their money. We make sure that any public funds that are spent will be for the students in this district.
The building staff too. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just as important for equity as, you know, the budgets.
Yeah.
Right? To know what we're doing in each respective building is creating like comprehensive buy-in, I think. So really good. Thank you.
Same thing. And we've been spending a ton of time this year on really moving the needle on getting projects done in buildings. I served when we were District 1 on their building committee, and then again after we reorganized into District 7, I served on that, worked through these documents, but never saw any of the items come to fruition. So from my standing after almost 7 years sitting on the board, starting to see dollars go into the buildings and areas where they really matter, it's great to see. So Dr. Jermison, you've done an amazing job on building a team of individuals. So I'm very, very happy with what you've done. So thank you.
Just one last comment. I've heard this from Dr. Jermison, but can you guys speak on how this list takes form? What are the priorities that go into making this list?
So
He's got like a 3-word phrase.
warm, safe, and dry, right? Warm, safe, and dry. And that's what, you know, that's our first phase, right? Warm, safe, and dry, warm, safe, and dry. Then once we get the school's up to that, then we got to start looking at, maybe we can start looking at parking lot projects and doing some paving at that, and grounds improvements and playgrounds improvements and different things like that. But yeah, right now, warm, safe, and dry is our primary focus for all the buildings, to make sure we have heat, we stay dry, and everybody stays safe. That's our prime directive right now.
Thank you. Board members, any other questions? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 5C, school assignment and boundary policy update.
All right, well, obviously, part of the Great Migration is moving people around. The elementary schools, when we bring on, is this gonna work, Oscar, or not? Was it- come up with slow one? So, this week we finalized our updated boundary policy. You're gonna see it's under my consent agenda, administrative reg FAB. We had our policy committee, which is principals, teachers, admins, classified HR. We went through and kind of finally have concrete lines on who's going, not who's going where, but situations, right? That's what we're talking about, is specific situations. I'll get into those in a second. Our timeline is to be communicating with parents and principals here in March. I'll say I originally thought it was gonna be, oh, we're gonna get this list of people, and we're gonna put it in the computer, right, our special boundary computer, and send them to this company called Clear, and then they're gonna come back and there's gonna be like 5 people. It's like, oh, Mike, you have the wrong address. It didn't quite work like that. Okay, there's 2,500 kids and there's 17,000 different combinations. We've had to send things back. Greg's been awesome with the tech department, doing reshuffling, sending things back and forth. We've had a great team of people from the district office. Darla had a team. They all jumped in. At one point last week, we had like 10 people working on this spreadsheet, sending things back and forth. So we are working through all of the names and addresses. So it's been a team effort, okay? So this was the policy, like I was talking about, update. Some of the things that this includes special ed. So all students are expected to attend their assigned boundary school unless a transfer by District 7 or WMAC staff members approved. I've invited Sean Huss to come back, but to show up next month and talk about, we've actually revamped our special ed. We're talking about neighborhood schools and got rid of the magnet schools. And so I would like him to talk about things. Are you just standing there? You feel like you're, okay. And so that includes our special ed departments. And so obviously this will be, a difficult change for some of our parents with our special ed students, but overall, you'll hear Sean talk about how being with your peers from your community, your neighborhood is going to outweigh some of these initial changes. As Corey had said, I mean, it's the Great Migration, there's a lot of changes, right? So we'll have Sean talk next. We get into obviously some custody situations, right? With divorced parents and parents that have some kind of custody. So we've worked through that. It's based on the guardian who completes the enrollment paperwork. See documentation for that. We're not going to get in between parents who are having a custody battle. You turn your stuff in, that's where the kid's going to go. We were talking about, for recruitment and retention, about making sure our staff can choose where to go to school. But we have a priority setting in this policy. It first goes to people living in that district, in that neighborhood. Secondly, it's people who work in that building. And then you get down to where we have to look at, say me, for example, my son's a junior, but let's say I want to drop him off at Rickard before I come over to the district office, right? This will work if we have room. We're not going to have to add another section or make Rickard become overcrowded because somebody works at the district office or for maintenance is not working in that school. So everybody's gonna do a form. The priorities will be the people working in that building. Then, like I said, WMAC people, same, they're part of us, so that'll be part of it. But these other people, if you're Will Mac from another school or people from the district office or maintenance, right? They will also have a chance, but we just want to make sure we don't overcrowd our schools and everybody wants to go to Rickard or everybody wants to go to Hagen, right? And so when we put out the letter, we will send out a form for our staff. And so just an overview, say we have a meeting on Wednesday with the admin to go through. The admin are very anxious about their numbers. We had a great meeting last week with the admin about their special ed students. We have some schools like McVeigh that are losing a huge chunk of their special ed students and they're going to Slolan. And so it's changing the dynamics of these schools. And so we had a good meeting last week with our elementary principals. And I said, we're just getting closer and closer to lining everything up. So any questions?
Board members, any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like on this slide, it said students are expected to attend their assigned boundary school unless an approved transfer is granted. And then on that earlier slide, it said kind of the same thing. Why is it not limited to IEP situations? What if just Joe Schmo from the community is like, I really want my kid to go to Hagen and they're not zoned there?
Yeah,
That's not,
correct.
okay,
That is correct.
that's what I wanted.
Yep, there's, so yes, so we're
It's
saying,
not spelled out in the policy.
okay,
Like it
so,
just kind of says, well, if the transfer is approved.
yeah, so just to reiterate to anybody who's watching this, yes, there's no exceptions, right? We're holding our boundary lines. That would be dealing with a staff or in an instance of a special situation like at Wilkinson, we have medically fragile. That's the only school. We have a school nurse, we have a room set up. That's it, no exceptions. So thank you for clarifying in front of the world.
Anybody else? I just wanted Dr. Germanson to really break this down for everybody to kind of understand, you know, this is, it's going to be a very, very hard line issue. The hard part when we build one school, we knew going in that it wasn't two elementary schools. Two elementary schools would have given us other opportunities. But we, in communication with the community, they gave us the one. We're very appreciative of that. But in that, there are some other things that it does affect. So we just have to stay solid and I know that across the district, it's going to be hard, but.
Well, so this Wednesday, just to add to that, we have an admin meeting for March and we're talking about when our principals find out, when we say, okay, we're gonna send the email out March 25th, that we're talking about that whole signing day. My elementary principals are excited. Then we start going, hey, guess what, Heather, you're coming over to Wilkinson. And then we can start gearing up with that fun stuff of you hearing kids going, we have some super ideas from all of our elementary principals every time we meet. Think, where did this come from? One of you two help me. There's gonna be kids transitioning to all buildings. And one of the elementary principals had come up with on a certain day that the kids that are going to that school, because some of the teachers are going to those other schools as well. So for students to go, oh, I see you're wearing a Rickard shirt, I'm going to Rickard, or the teacher to go, hey, who are you, little Heather? Hey, we're gonna be at Rickard together and start making some of those connections. So our principals are being very proactive, coming up with, Ms. Zimmerman used that word belonging, right? And so there's gonna be a little shuffle, but hooking those littles and getting them to belong to their new space. So yeah, good stuff.
They're gonna have some fun at the middle school trying to fight for the house cup. That's gonna be, yeah. Anything else, board members? All right, moving on to monitoring school district operations. 6A, operational expectation. Be communicating with and support for the board monitor.
Darla was thinking she was next as she's trying to get up here. I think that's exactly, but she's wait one more. She's anxious. All right, so here we are, OEA communicating with and support for the board monitoring report. Paula put a lot of work into this, and so I'm gonna turn it over to Paula.
Well, I'll make it really short. The report, of course, is attached to the agenda and publicly available. Has 12 areas of supporting evidence, so I'm not going to review each of those sections individually. Certainly will welcome any questions, and the conclusion is that Dr. Jermenson is in compliance. So any questions that we can answer at this time?
Board members, any questions relating to OE8? Dr. Jermenson, you have declared that you're in compliance.
Correct.
Board members, we would be looking for a motion for interpretation is reasonable, evidence supports compliance, if you see so. Do we have a motion?
I move the interpretation is reasonable, and evidence is in compliance.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ooh, who won?
Ooh, I'm gonna give it to Mr. Mr. Brenner. Giving that one away.
That's all right.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Board members, any discussion? All hearing none, you can call the roll.
Sluter?
Aye.
Brenner?
Aye.
Kilgore?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Wheeler?
Aye.
Marsh?
Aye.
Swint?
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to 6D results, 11 bar monitoring report.
This is exciting because I'm glad that Central Campus is still here, because Darla's got some pretty amazing data that shows kind of what BAR is doing at Central Campus, so I'm glad that you guys already know this. We get to speak more highly of you guys as well. So anyway, Darla, come on up and talk about our building assets and reducing risk monitoring report and all the great stuff that BAR, I hope you guys hear that every time that a school comes up, elementary school, high school, whatever, and I know some of you ask those questions that they reference BAR. And it's been a great program, right? And so this is just proof in the pudding that this is a great process.
I kind of liked it when Audie was speaking because it was like, well, there it is in a nutshell. She kind of touched on all of what we were looking for and what we're expecting of that. So results 11, the policy, superintendent's interpretation. What is BARS? So BAR is building assets, reducing risks. It's an evidence-based model that provides our schools a strength-based, comprehensive approach to meeting academic, social, and emotional needs of all students. Through BAR, we work to harness the power of relationships, like Mrs. Zimmerman said multiple times. It's building those connections with non-academic barriers as well as academic barriers. So standardized spreadsheets, that was the goals of 3.6. Standardizing the spreadsheets across the district, so everybody's using and everybody knows the vocabulary. You can talk to board members now where everybody's talking about the same things with that. And it's really nice to hear those conversations going on. Pre-meetings, the preparations, they have the I times and U times. You'll hear about those. Large blocks and big blocks, those are different blocks that they use at all the schools. So then you have the Community Connects, and I gotta just say Community Connects when Mrs. Zimmerman was talking about the attendance. That's one of the biggest things I think is a plus for a lot. I get a lot of phone calls saying, I've got this child that's missed like 17 days. What do you do? We talk about the state, talk about filing the reports, which we're required to do. We have all of those things. Try to see if they're a family that needs busing or transportation, doing what we can to help get them where they need to be. It's really not easy. It would be nice if we could say, we could pick up every child that needs a ride. We have kids on a waiting list that they didn't put our name in on the waiting list, right? So now they have to wait for busing just because they waited until last week when their car broke down, they need a ride. So we're working on that. So that's improving our attendance. So we talked about that. And I think one of the big things is when we go to the results and impact, there's a graph on there. This is my favorite part of this presentation because looking at this, and if you all know Mrs. Helsted, she's very much into the data, right? And I asked her for a little bit of help and she's digging and digging and digging and she does spreadsheets and spreadsheets. But I want to share this because we've been doing BAR in some schools. This is their 3rd year. So then we have the high school, which is in the 1st year. Since she spoke tonight, I'll talk about this one. This line and how the chronic attendance was here and how it's gone down since Mrs. Zimmerman's been in the building over there. So you talk about good leadership right there. These, for the high school, if you notice the data here, the neat thing about this is their first year in VAR. So this is great baseline data right here, because it's now we have, where are we gonna go? We're gonna watch next year, where does that go? Because they have their Community Connect meetings too, and they talk about that on a regular as far as how can we get these kids to school. Some of the conversations, just so you know too, is talking about maybe having another bus run. Let's say another bus goes out in the mornings for a second drop. Maybe they'll be late, but at least we can get them to school. If they miss the first route, maybe we can stop by as they're going to pick up the next group of kids and see if they can't pick up some more kids at that stop. So that's one of those things. So with that, I think I'm gonna say, I think Dr. Jurgensen did compliance with this. So Dr. Jurgensen,
Yeah,
anything to
just
say?
more good stuff.
Board members, any questions?
Laura's been great for our district and the proof is in the pudding.
Board members, we will be looking for, Dr. Johnson, you believe you're in compliance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Board members, we will be looking for interpretation is reasonable, evidence supports compliance. Do we have a motion?
Motion, that interpretation is reasonable and evidence supports the compliance.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Who wins?
I'm gonna give it right here. Mrs. Luder. Sorry, Sam.
Ladies first.
Board members, any discussion? I just want to quickly say BAR has been amazing for our district. And being a leader in the state that it's implemented across the district, it just shows how far Williston has come over the last few years. And I'm very impressed with what BAR has accomplished in our schools, and I look forward to how it continues to improve our district as a whole. Hearing no additional items, Paula, could you call the roll?
Brenner?
Aye.
Kilgore?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Wheeler?
Aye.
Barsh?
Aye.
Sluter?
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to committee reports, 7A, planning meeting report.
Okay, so we had our planning meeting and excellent meeting. Your notes are in the board book as you saw. We had a number of different topics to discuss, one of which being near and dear to my heart, which is the pathways to success. That would be our alternative placement level D setting for students who need a little bit of extra support for behavior. I'm not going to go through the entire minutes because you have access to it, but if you have any questions about those minutes, please feel free to ask and I will answer them for you.
Board members, any questions for Mrs. Wood? All right, hearing none, moving on to 7D, governance committee report. We had a meeting to review the superintendent evaluation tool. We didn't change the evaluation, but we did change the tool and how it's filled out. I hope everybody found that to be a little bit more user-friendly. We discussed policy HEAF. That's the fund balance. These were just preliminary discussions to kind of get the ball rolling. This is to get a attainable number within the district on our end fund balance each year for the rollover, just to make sure that in the event something ever happens and we need that additional funds to start the year, we have that money available and being good stewards of our cash. So we'll be working on that. I believe we have that planned for around June to bring the updated policy back to the board.
Yes, that's correct.
Then we discussed another item that we'll discuss in more detail here shortly, the staggered school board election discussion, which we have in the packet, so I won't touch on that here. But we will get a little more information in the next portion. Any questions? All right, hearing none, we will move on to matters reserved for board action. This is approved the 8A approved 2026-2027 WBSD 7 grade configuration changes.
Mr. President, just to explain what this is exactly, so EPI, in order for us, as Audie and Ms. Zimmerman was just explaining, in fifth grade going back, going to 6, 7, and 8. So the state requires that we send in Mr. Clausen does a report through STARS, but they need the configuration and board minutes approved, so the state's okay with this as long as we approve this. So that's what this is.
Red tape.
Red tape.
Yes.
So we would be looking for a motion for approval as presented, if anybody would like to make that motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mrs. Wheeler. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Brenner. Board members, any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Reiner,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to 8B board term reconfiguration discussion, such amendment to reorganization plan. So this one, lots of documents. This one is relating to kind of the board turnover. When we did the original reorganization plan, we had it set up for 4 and 3. What we have seen in reality is when you change that many board members at a given time, it can be quite difficult, especially when it's 4 or a majority at that point. It can become obviously unfortunate. We have a very great board, but the training process becomes a little bit more involved to try to get people up to speed and everything. So that was one of the big reasons why we wanted to kind of review this. We've had legal look at it and give us good guidance on what we can do. It does have to be approved by the public. Everybody was given prior to this meeting the layout of what it would look like. If you have any questions, Mrs. Donovan is here to help us through this process. It will require, if we decide to move forward with this portion of it, it would require 3 motions. Here it's on this, and there are motion samples on the back to help Paula know exactly what we're saying, and so that we can accomplish what we're trying to accomplish and legally cover our bases here as well. So, Mrs. Donovan, do you have any input you would like to add, unless we just open it up for questions?
I think just if anybody has questions.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions?
Within motion 1 is the next regular election this June.
Yes.
So the reason why we're pushing for this year is because we already need to have an election this summer, because we need to ask the public the question if they want to have our board minutes published in the newspaper. And having that question alone, elections cost a lot of money, as Mr. Arnold can attest to. So having something else with that, if that's the direction you guys want to go, would be a better use of the election.
We have to spend the
Motion
motion.
2.
Yep. Yes. Pretty much the idea is we have to have an election this year if we want to touch on this. We have to go back to the public anyways. Dr. Germanson and me have discussed putting out some really good educational videos to the community. We just really want to communicate this well. It's their decision ultimately. I think it's important that we do reevaluate. It wasn't a perfect process, writing the reorganization plan. It was a lot of get everything in writing, and now as you start to see how certain things play out, just good practice is to change the documents. But it is a vote of the public, and we want to make sure that we educate them well through the reasons behind this decision. It's not, I want to be clear, it's not because we had so many turnover and who came onto the board. It's a lot to turn over at once and to train and get into ready for service. This is I think you all kind of figured out, this is not the easiest of tasks as a board member. There's a lot to learn. So, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we have 3 motions on the back that we would follow this up with. It'd be motion number 1. I would ask that for each of these motions that you read them in their entirety, just so that we can make sure that the minutes reflect properly. So if anybody would like to make motion number 1.
I will move to follow the governance committee's recommendation to place a question before the voters at the next regular election to amend section 6, or is that 11? That's 11 of the reorganization plan by adding the proposed amendment language that has been distributed to the board at this meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Motion, second. Board members, any discussion relating to motion number 1? Hearing none, Paula, could you call the roll?
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Board motion number 2. Anybody would like to tee that up?
I'll go ahead. I'll make a motion to call for the question on whether the public wants a record of the board proceedings to be published in the official newspaper of the district in both the years 2028 and 2029, and then every odd year after that. So the question always coincides with board member elections.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. Board members, any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 3, this is the motion to set polling locations and times. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the polling location at the Wilson Area Recreation Center at 822 18th Street East, Wilson, ND. And the hours of 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the June 9th, 2026 election per North Dakota Century Code 15.109-12 and North Dakota Century Code 15.1-0.
Motion, do we have a second? Do we have a second? Board members, any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore. Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 9, superintendent consent agenda. We have a motion to approve the superintendent consent agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Second. Any discussion? Paula, could you call the roll?
Sluter.
Aye.
Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh. Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item 10, board consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to board debrief. Mr. Brenner, you were the third member.
We had a wonderful presentation by Williston Middle School Central Campus, focusing a lot on their climate culture, relationships with students and staff. A lot of good proactive plans for the future. I'm proud of all that they've done. And a financial report from Mr. Arnold. A lot of process is still moving in a positive direction, which is good to hear. Mr. Brurud shared with us the deferred maintenance update. School boundary update by Dr. Germanson, our report from Mrs. Ratsack, and committee reports on both planning and governance committees. So overall, good information.
Thank you, Mr. Brenner. Great meeting. I think we moved right on through the agenda and we got a lot achieved today.
Yes, yes.
With that, board members, we can adjourn at 6:48 if there's a motion.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 6:48 PM.
2 minutes faster than last.